it's getting worse because, let's be honest, social media, illusion of options.
Yeah.
Some men are scared of commitment now. Do you know what I mean? So women are just going through it, man.
Yeah.
Going through it.
It is. Are men scared of commitment? Do you know what I think men are scared of? They're terrified of committing to the wrong woman. And I think, and I'm just.
But you can just break up with her though.
Yeah, but he can lose a lot in that time.
Oh, okay. All right.
He can lose a lot in that time. So
I'm
like,
with you.
for example, just saying for example, right? Like if a man owns his home and he asks his girlfriend to move in with him, let's say they're together for 2 years and then they break up, she's entitled to half that home.
Is she?
Yeah. She's not even married.
Is it?
Nothing.
What?
Yeah. She's like, oh, I'm going to.
Is that by law?
Yeah. I think the minimum.
Don't be sharing that.
I think
because I don't think people know.
Yeah. Honestly, it's true.
I've never known that.
And obviously, of course, when a man is gonna be the man within a relationship for a woman, a lot of the value he brings is tangible. So it might be the financial, it might be emotional security, it might be physical security, giving her attention, giving her reassurance. I'm not saying there isn't reassurance the woman never gives him or anything like that. I think a lot of the value a woman brings is the intangibles. So it can be her feminine essence. It can be, wow, I see the way she is. That just inspires me to do better, right? So there are a lot of intangibles, but there's a lot of tangible things that a man has to bring for a relationship a lot of the time. And it's the tangible things that he can lose. As a woman, you don't really lose the intangibles. When you leave a relationship, you take those things with you. But everything as a man, time, money, effort, commitment, etc., to the wrong woman, it can destroy him. It can destroy him. And that's just for the wrong woman, as in, oh, she's not my person. We don't even get into this, we're not even stepping into the territory of if she's manipulative, if she's vengeful, if she's resentful for any reason. So I think that's what guys are scared of. It's like the whole thing with marriage. Like, men aren't scared of getting married, they're scared of getting divorced. Men aren't really scared of committing, they're just scared of committing to the wrong woman. And I think because of social media, etc., guys would, and I think a lot of women would also say, okay, nowadays, less men are husband material than were before, right? So I think a lot of men would also say that's the case with, with less women today, what they would consider as wife material before. So it's like they don't know how to identify the good wife material. But also, and this is something as men we have to get better at, they can be led by their lust a lot of the time. And so their lust sometimes can lead them astray, and then they get tied in with the wrong woman, have a bad experience. They're like, damn, I don't even know how to choose.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's a real thing. Stopping yourself from committing because you don't even trust your own decisions.
You don't even trust your own judgment.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
And the thing is, guys, you know how as women, you will fantasize about the relationship when we start seeing a guy?
Do you guys?
From the moment he sees you, he's already fantasized about being intimate with you. From the moment he sees you. And rightfully or wrongfully so, that is a big driver. That is a big reason why men strive for greatness, not just for women, but to be in a position where he can attract the kind of woman that he wants to choose. And so, a lot of people would argue that's why we've made such technological advancements from men, because men have such a drive to become the kind of man that women want and that women choose.
That's so interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, you've definitely articulated it in a way that I hadn't heard before, because it did feel like there's a pandemic of men. It feels like there's a generation of men who are quite avoidant, basically, and just are scared of intimacy, or the whole social media thing has just made a generation of men not want to choose anyone.
Yeah.
But when you put it like that, I'm like, it makes sense. And again, it's just sometimes what us as women have to think about, like what we're bringing to the table. And I have said it before on another podcast, and yeah, some girls definitely came for me because I was just basically putting it back onto the women. I was just saying, like, what do you bring to the table? Because you might think you're a full course, 3 course worth, do you get what I'm saying? But someone's treating you like a drive-through.
Yeah.
They're not staying
Yeah.
to give whatever you're serving.
Yeah.
You know, and you're saying men are trash and but have you thought about the quality of what you are? And I do think sometimes as women we don't think about we're not the most accountable.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because we're emotional. We're emotional, and so criticism means I'm a bad person. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't hear criticism and just know I'm still awesome, but this person gave me this feedback and I've just got to work on it and we're back on track.
Yes.
I used to be like that. Oh, criticism. Oh, scary.
Yeah.
Am I awful now? You know, again, it's that whole anxious attachment thing.
Yeah.
You're not secure enough to know that I'm still lovable even though I did this.
Yes.
That maybe that person had to give me feedback on.
Yeah.
You know? Now everything crumbles.
So true. The other thing I was actually going to say as well, this just came to mind about the whole men committing thing. Many guys feel they haven't become the man that they want to be for a woman.
Okay.
And a lot of this is because of social media, because
pressures,
of,
isn't it?
Right. Like, she's like, well, yeah, you better be flying me out. He's like, I live in a house share of 3. I can't fly anyone out. What do you mean?
Listen.
I can take you to Brighton, maybe. You're out here saying, well, if he ain't flying me out, that's the bare minimum. And guys are like, okay, what's that song? 6'5" Blue Eyes in Finance. Guys are like, cool, if I'm not that guy, I just don't fit. A relationship isn't for me. And a lot of guys have that mentality and mindset. So when a woman meets a guy, thinks he's really great, she's like, yeah, you know, and just like normal in reality, like there are guys out there, they're working, doing their thing. They're not these 6'5" Blue Eyes, you know, 7-figure
I don't even know
owners,
that song.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And guys are just thinking, yeah, she's great. I think is the more beautiful she is, the more as men we think she expects that from us. So it's like, I'm not going to do this and fail. So I'd rather not try.
Oh my God, this is so crazy. It's like you're talking about
Does that make
someone
sense?
that I know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, because it's the person I'm building with, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and bless him, like at the start, there was a point he went really quiet and I was like, are you okay? And he was like, I'm so sorry. I'm overthinking everything. He was like, I just want it to be perfect so that when we go, we don't lose momentum. And I was like, okay, I'm not mad at a man thinking about, you know, what he wants to do. You know, if you're thinking of intention, no problem. So it's so interesting. Like, I don't think about the pressures that men feel, because for women, it's that aesthetically pleasing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that BBL body, like, you know, that's our pressure. Do you know what I'm saying? We've just got to look beautiful and be feminine and, you know, men have to have those tangible things. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know how women expect so much. Cost of living. Oh.
This is what I was saying. Like, it's very much like imagine like you're in a baseball game and you're up to bat. And it's like, okay, you have one chance to hit a home run. You can bat now, or if you come back in 3 months' time, you're going to have a bigger bat and you're more likely to hit that home run. That's how guys are seeing relationships. They're like, I don't know if I can hit a home run right now. If I really like this girl, I would rather come back with a bigger bat where I'm more sure that I'm going to hit. And then with that as well, you know, in terms of, you know, what you said about the pressures of men and, you know, them considering these things, it then gets to a point that, because I know there's the pendulum starting to swing the other way in terms of, I'd say, traditionalism in dating, you know, like more and more women saying, I don't want to do like 50-50. I want a masculine man to lead. I want to be more, you know, if I can work part-time, cool. Understand that. But they're thinking that back in the day, the average job could support a family of 5, 50, 60 years ago. Now, if you're a woman and if you're with a man where you can afford to work part-time, that is a luxury. That is a premium deal today.
Come true.
Yeah.
What?
But then I think a lot of guys are hearing, well, if you're going to be with me, it has to be that. So guys are like, well, if I'm not that, then what am I supposed to do? So I guess the question is, because you said you felt like you had that with the guy you're seeing, you don't have to share anything you don't want to, but for you, did you feel that because sometimes guys just want that reassurance that it's okay not to be Superman.
Yeah, I did say, like I said, don't overthink it that time passes, and we're not creating memories. Do you know what I mean? And that did help. Like, he came in with a lot of intention. For him, it's like, I'm doing this, like, it's marriage. Like, I'm not in this for small.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying? But I still have to give him time to, like, like, commit. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so that's the thing for me. If I hear that, I'm like, okay, I could be your girlfriend tomorrow then. Do you get what I'm saying? But I have to let him collect data first. Like, analyze and see, this is what. Do you get what I'm saying? But I did reassure and just say it's okay. Like, you don't need to overthink so much. And it did help. Funny enough, I was gonna ask, do men need reassurance? And what kind of reassurance if they do? Because it's not the same reassurance we need as women.
No. Yes, they absolutely do.
Yeah?
They definitely do. And it is, two things come to mind. Reassurance, and this is more in the dating phase, this one. So reassurance that you actually desire him, right? Physically. Because we know men a lot of time can drive the physical aspect, right? But if he's a good man, he wants to know that you have desire for him as well. And so I would say if he is a man who is considerate of a woman, he's going to be looking for that desire, because the last thing he wants is for her to give it to him because she felt she had to, not because she wanted to.
That's so interesting.
Does that make sense?
Men feel like this?
Yeah. If he's
you guys worry about a woman doing something like out of pressure and not out of really liking you.
We hear it all the time. I've heard it from so many girls where they're like, yeah, they slept with a guy because it was easier than saying no in the moment.
Oh.
I've heard that really common.
Oh.
That a lot of girls, there's been
scary.
a guy in the past where she said yes.
Have sex than say no?
This is what I don't understand. I'm like,
I don't get that.
I don't get it, but apparently it's quite common. And so as a guy, you don't want to be that guy, especially if you really like her.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, just showing, and sometimes it's just physical affection. It's just like hand on his thigh, putting your arms around, putting your hands around his arms. It's like, okay, cool. There's a level of physical desire and physical affection here. And then the other reassurance is that this sounds deeper than it's gonna come out, but that he's enough. That he's enough. Because the truth is, as men, we know we have to bring value to the table to be chosen. And it's a very bitter pill that we have to swallow when we realize this when we're younger, as we become young men in the world. And then on top of social media, we hear about what we have to, everything we have to bring. Otherwise, we're essentially not worthy of a relationship. And we already know throughout history, only 38% of men have ever reproduced anyway. So we already know statistically, half of us ain't even going to make it.
What?
Yeah. 38% of males have reproduced historically, whereas like 95% of women have. So even statistically, historically, most men aren't even going to make it.
Do you know what's mad? I do hear a lot of men say, yo, we don't get... the person called it box.
Box.
We don't get box like that all the time. Like, there's some guys out there that don't, like, they're not out here just...
most guys struggle.
Hey, I'm shocked. Hey, this is a combo today.
So have you?
Wow.
So I always say this.
What?
So have you heard of the Pareto principle?
Who?
Who's the
Is that a girl or boy?
Listen, man.
Pareto.
So it's the 80-20 rule, essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, 20% of cities in the world hold 80% of the world's population.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yep. 20% of authors are responsible for 80% of books sold.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20% of actors get 80% of the jobs.
Crazy.
That's why we see the same faces in everything.
Yeah.
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 So in dating, 20% of men get 80% of the opportunity with women. Because the thing is, if I ask you, out of 50 random guys who might hit on you, right, slide into your DMs, maybe approach you when you're out and about, 50 random guys, old, young, fat, slim, all colors, creeds, and cultures, right? How many of that 50 do you look at and you go,
2 or 3?
I like 2 or 3, right? Cool. Most women are like that. Out of 50 random guys who may be taking interest.
Whereas men, out of 50 random
they're probably giving 25 a chance.
25 would be more. It would
Right?
be all
Probably,
of them if they
do
can.
you know what I mean?
But then
But then here's the caveat though, Loyce. The same, on a balance of probability, the same 2 or 3 guys you would give a chance are the same guys Jessica gives a chance, Samantha gives a chance, Kelsey gives a chance.
Hey.
So that's how you get
80% of women are fighting for 20% of men.
Yes.
Okay. So part of what needs to change is women's taste. Basically.
So here's what I'd say.
You've got to branch out a little bit.
I think women being more open, but I think the biggest thing is recognizing that there's no nice way to put this. Recognizing that the man who matches you is not the guy you can sleep with, it's the guy who will invest in you seriously.
Yeah.
That's your level.
Yeah.
Right? Because we know that when men are just looking for sex, they're very loose with their standards. Some guys will literally fuck anything.
Yeah, they will.
But that doesn't mean that they would invest in her for a future.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of the time, because I think a lot of women think men date the same way they do. So as a woman, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, oh, well, if I would be physical with him, that means there's something there that I would at least consider for a serious relationship a lot of the time. More often than not, if a woman's sleeping with a guy, she sees no potential with him, it's because he's super attractive. And she's like, cool, this is it. No? Tell me, go on.
Sometimes they give it up a bit quick to the one that they feel like they could still see something with.
No, what I mean is if she's being intimate with a guy that she's like, I don't see any future potential. Oh, right. It's because he is very, very attractive. Okay, yeah. So she's like, yeah. Does that make sense?
We don't sleep with anything.
Exactly.
We don't.
So
I can't physically do it.
Exactly. Right? And so a lot of the time, I think a lot of women think men move the same way. That, oh, well, if he would be intimate, that means he would very likely be open to something serious with me.
Yeah, and he might not.
And I'll be honest, most women that men sleep with, they would not consider for a serious relationship. So if he sleeps with 20 women, less than 10 he'd actually consider for a relationship on a balance of probability, which is the truth. Does that make sense?
So who wins this game of love and war? Who wins
this game? Well, I would say the second
that is eye-opening.
Yeah. I would say the moment a woman recognizes the difference between sexual attention and romantic intention, the options that are actually available to her become very clear. And then she can choose from those guys who are like, okay, actually this guy is actually really great and he's giving me that serious intention. Right? Because, come on, ladies, like, you don't need a man to be, a millionaire in order to be happy with him. He doesn't have to be 6'2" in order for you to be happy with him. He doesn't have to have the best smile. Do you know what I mean? These are all attraction triggers and that's great. I get that. But if I'm going to be honest, if you're choosing a man based on his looks and appearance alone, it's a very masculine way to date. As the feminine, you should be choosing a man based on how he treats you.
Yeah.
Based on how he considers you. How he provides a space where you feel safe. Do you know what I mean? Because I think one thing I've noticed is that I've noticed a correlation between women who are very much out there, they're having sex with whoever, whatever, based on how, based on his looks, because he's just very attractive, all of this stuff. They get the masculine results, not the feminine results. And the masculine results is as much casual sex with as little investment emotionally as possible. And they're like, why do I keep getting these results? It's like, because you're moving in a very masculine way, baby doll.
That's what I'm saying. We're just not self-aware. We're not aware of what we're doing and how, we're going wrong.
Who's like a woman you look up to?
Oh, that's a very good question. Oh, do you know who I really like? People might be surprised. Candace Owens.
I love that girl. I love that girl. I don't agree with everything she says, but I don't agree with
everything, but I love her. And even when I see her talk about her husband, I see that woman melt. She melts. She had him on her show recently, and as she was interviewing him, you could just see how googly eyed she was. Do you know what I mean? She just goes into her feminine. All of that Candice who's like stands up and she just melts, you know, and
Yes.
it's just so beautiful to see. But yeah, I look up to her.
I hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.